We're always bringing you the coolest artists on the Jeff Rickett Show, and today's no different. Central Illinois hard rock band Drew Cagle and The Reputation. They just released their latest album titled Bad Attitude. It's an 8-song collection, comes 3 years after their debut release called Haunted. Bad Attitude features a guest appearance by legendary guitarist Traci Guns, and the rest is amazing. We're stoked to have guitarist, singer Drew Cagle on the show. First, Drew, thanks so much for coming on.
Hey, what's up, man? Thanks for having me.
I mean, when did you record this thing? Because congrats, it sounds amazing. I mean, All Figured Out came out in July. The album just came out a couple weeks ago. So when did you wrap this thing up?
Oh, man. So this thing has actually been wrapped and packaged and ready to go for a couple of years now. So when All Figured Out came out, it was already done for a little while. It was one of those things that we were just waiting for the right time, waiting for people to be ready for it, and it just came together in the right way.
Yeah, I mean, timing's everything, and I think you have to like it for as much as responses you've gotten. You hit over 1 million streams. The video, she said, that just came out has over 100,000 views in a week. I mean, was it Pavement? What was it?
Not, it's not too bad. I can't really complain. Everyone seemed to love it, man. When we recorded it, we had pretty much knocked out all 8 songs pretty much in one day in the recording session. I went in and did it with a bunch of those Nashville studio cats, and man, they were just the absolute best. And then we just did a couple overdubs for vocals and some guitar solos and stuff like that. And then we were pretty much sitting on it for a little while. The only thing that really we were waiting on was we were working on our song Bad Attitude, which is the title track of the record, and I just felt like it was missing something, and we kept in the studio, we kept arguing over it, not arguing, but kind of bickering back and forth. Hey, what does this need? And it turns out all it really needed was Traci Guns. So once we got that thing nailed down and got everything ready, we were ready to come out swinging with it.
And we'll talk about Traci here in a second. Matt Coles, who produced this thing, you said you recorded it in Nashville, you had all the hired guns. He worked with the Eagles. I mean, how the hell did you meet Matt?
Oh, Matt's awesome. I got connected with him through another one of my good friends on the music scene. We had done some shows together, and he just ended up coming up to me. He's like, dude, have you ever met Matt? And I was like, no, I haven't. He's like, you haven't been to Nashville? And I was like, no, I'd love to sometime. I just haven't gotten to the right situation to do it. And he hooked me up with my buddy Matt, and we went into the studio and just made a little bit of magic, man. I mean, Matt's one of the absolute best in the world. And he works with the Eagles, Alice Cooper, Sammy Hagar. He has a bunch of Grammys, and he's one of the chillest, down-to-earth dudes that you just would never know is one of the most talented people out there.
Yeah, and then all the session players work with him all the time, or how'd you get them?
Yeah. Matt put them together, and he was. I had a different group of guys and different ideas on how we were going to record it, and ultimately, when the producer for the Eagles says, "Trust me, I got this," you just let him run with it.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I mean, what an experience! Did you have to pinch yourself like halfway through?
Oh man, it was one of the coolest experiences of my life. It was kind of what happened was just leading up to it. There was a lot of unknown for me. I had these songs, and actually I had sent him 7 songs beforehand, and it's an 8-song record. And I sent him 7 songs, and he listened to them a bit and said, "Yeah, these are great. We'll run with these." And then about 2 nights before I went down to Nashville to meet him, I wrote All Figured Out, and I was like, "Hey Matt, is there any way we can throw this on last minute?" And he was like, "Oh, absolutely, no problem." And so when we got down there, I was a little worried because All Figured Out had never been played live or anything like that. I had no preconceived notion on how it was supposed to sound. We get down there, or I get down there, and Matt says, "Why don't I just pick you up and take you to where we're going to go record?" Because I thought at the time we were recording, downtown Music Row, Nashville on Blackbird Studio, stuff like that. And that wasn't the case at all. He actually picked me up, and we drove out to the country of Nashville. And along the way, I came up to find out that we were driving to Shannon Forrest's house, who's the drummer for Toto, and we recorded it there. And so it was one of those moments where I got in the room, and the room was so cool. It was built for drums because it's a drum for Toto's place. Yeah. And so it was really high, and he had snare cubbies around all of the walls. He had hundreds of snares, and it was just so cool. They all couldn't have been nicer guys. And the pinch me moment didn't really come until we started playing, because everyone was in the room, everyone was chill, we're all just hanging out talking about what we love, music. And when we went to start the first song, which I think might have been all figured out, the second we went into it, I was like, oh, okay, we're working with some heavy hitters here. And it was just one of those cool moments where I just got to be a student of the game. When you get older and you play music long enough, or get to a certain level, you don't really get to really spend all the time. You spend a lot of time giving advice, a little less time being the one asking for it. And to be able to go into the room where I knew I was the weakest link in the band, and just sit there and just learn everything I possibly could from these absolute masters of their craft was just one of the coolest experiences of my life, and I can't wait to do it again.
Yeah, it had to be amazing. Well, and I mean, Haunted doesn't sound bad, but the new one, I mean, this one just sounds amazing. I mean, yeah, you had to be shocked when you heard it.
Yeah, you can really hear the difference between kind of a basement EP and the Nashville, the A-list sound. It's definitely an evolution. You can hear the songwriting is similar. You can hear that it's still the same songwriter. It's still me. It's still my voice. But it just sounds like it's on steroids, man. It just sounds like we kind of took the gloves off and, just like I said, came out swinging. And that's what it really feels like.
Yeah, it's amazing. Drew Cagle, go check him out. DrewCagle.com. He's on Facebook, Instagram, X, Spotify. The brand new album, Bad Attitude, is out now along with the video, She Said. Well, it said your dad played in a band called Bad Reputation. What did he, was he a guitarist too?
So my dad actually played in a band called Bad Attitude.
Or Bad Attitude, sorry.
Yeah. And so he was the lead guitarist of that band with Troy Hobbs, who was also the singer and guitarist of that band too. And they actually they were together in the 90s. I was born in 2000, so I was never able to see them as part of that. I knew my dad played guitar a little bit. He played to me, and we would jam and hang out when I was growing up and stuff. But I never kind of knew that he really went and tried to do the thing. And then whenever I got and started to get more successful, I was like, wait a minute, my band's called The Reputation. Getting ready to release our first full length album. What else could it be called besides Bad Attitude? And then the song came together, and then I was like, well, why don't we just go all in with it? And then so track 4 on the record, So Cold, is actually a cover of one of my dad's old songs from the 90s.
Oh, wow.
And so
cool.
I kind of rewrote it a bit. I rearranged it, but pretty much the gist of the song is their song. I kind of rocked it up and did my own thing with it. But it was definitely one of those really cool experiences that it was like, well, let me find a cool way to honor my dad and all his support he's given towards me, and just kind of do something cool that feels like we're continuing the family legacy here.
Yeah, well, that's cool. I mean, so he wasn't like your big inspiration when you were starting out either.
I mean, he was a little bit, but he was more my inspiration as a person, not quite as much as a musician. He was very much a friend when it came to music. He was one of those guys that he just wanted to show me his favorite bands. He just wasn't really trying to tell me what I had to do or tell me that I had to play rock music. He's just like, hey, I got tickets to go see Guns N' Roses and the Rolling Stones and Def Leppard. Do you want to come? And I was like, oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. Well, we were talking about this before we started the interview. You grew up in Illinois. You went to Eastern Illinois. You live in Fisher, Illinois, which I'm in Wyoming, and there's a lot of land in between our tiny ass towns out here. But Fisher, Illinois, it says, I looked it up. It says there's like 1,800 people and change, and you said it's pretty much you.
Yeah, that might be an exaggeration. The 1,800. There's not really much out here. We got one gas station, one grocery store or something like that, and a couple bars and restaurants, and that's about it.
Wow. And what, you're north of Champaign?
Yeah, we're just outside Champaign, just about 20 minutes.
Oh,
So,
okay.
but that's kind of where I got my start was over in Champaign. There wasn't quite much of a music scene in this little town.
So when you become rich and famous, are you staying there?
Well, I'm still here now, so I guess we'll see. I mean, I don't mind the town. I like the town. They've been supportive of me as far as it goes, and I don't mind keeping the a little bit of a country living aspect to it too. So no, I don't really know. I don't really know what the future holds. If it is moving around, I spent a lot of time in Nashville as well, and spent a lot of time on the road too. So I'm a rocker, man. I just go wherever the wind takes me.
Yeah. Well, speaking of being on the road, you played all around for like 3 months almost this summer. I mean, how is it? That's tough when you're going out. And I mean, the album wasn't out. You had Haunted out, but it had been out for a while. What was the reception like?
Yeah, it was one of those things that we were getting a lot of buzz in the major cities in the Midwest, and I wanted to do something that was going to be big and cool to accompany All Figured Out, the first single. And I just kind of ran with it. All this stuff is like every other musician. We don't really know what we're doing. We're just trying to see what works. And we went out there and had a crazy schedule. I booked the whole tour, and so it wasn't like the most professionally booked tour. They were nice where we were in Michigan, and the next night we had to be in southern Missouri or Colorado, and we were driving through the night. We checked into hotels just to check out an hour later. It was one of those, but I mean it was a blast. We got to play with Great White and Slaughter and Mr. Big and Three Dog Night and Striper and just so many crazy bucket list bands. It was a blast.
Yeah, it was. I mean, you mentioned Denver. Did you play 415 to Denver in Denver?
Yeah, we kind of had to. That one's got to be in the set, don't it?
Well, people probably love that. They're like, "Wow, this guy's not even from here, and he's got a song about Denver." So that.
Yeah. It was our actually it was my first time there. So it was kind of cool. I write songs sometimes about the unknown and the places that I haven't got to see yet. And Southside San Francisco and 14 to Denver were definitely two of those songs like that. So being able to actually play it in Denver was awesome.
Yeah, that's sweet. Go check him out, Drew Cagle and the Reputation. He's at drewcagle.com. Check him out. He's on Facebook, Instagram, X. The new album, Bad Attitude, is out now. Well, you mentioned some of the bands. I mean, I'm almost 50. And I'm reading over this. I was like, this would be a dream come true for me. I mean, Warrant, Slaughter, Mr. Big, LA Guns, Great White, Lita Ford. My brother loves April Wine. I mean, I know when you're the opener, sometimes they're nice to you. Sometimes they don't ever talk to you. How was the interactions with some of these guys?
Oh man, we've been very fortunate that the majority of the people are really cool. We've definitely had a few that were like, maybe we won't join them on a bill again.
Yeah.
But we've definitely had, it's all around. It's been great. I mean, Michael Sweet from Striper is one of the coolest dudes. We still text each other on the regular. He just super cool guy. All of Mr. Big was great. They're on their farewell tour, and they waited and hung out with us after the show for another hour. Had a couple beers, had some fun. That was they didn't need to do that, and that was really cool of them. Man, there's just so many. April Wine, those guys were great too. Head East, when we played with them, they were awesome. There's so many of these guys that honestly they're just happy to hear and see young rockers going out there and trying it and having that same energy that they used to have when they were younger. So, or that they still have now, or managed to encapsulate over this long period of time. So, honestly, it's just when it comes down to it, if the egos are left out of it, we're just all a bunch of music fans, and we sit there, we can talk about our favorite songs, we can jam on some stuff. It's all about a great experience for everyone all around, not just the fans. So the people that really truly understand that are always the best ones to hit the road with.
Yeah. Well, we mentioned it earlier. I mean, congrats on the 1 million streams. That's got to make you feel good. You signed with Pavement to push All Figured Out. I mean, they're out of Chicago. Was it Puddle of Mud? How did you get hooked? Was it Plush? How'd you get hooked up with them?
So we actually signed with them after the All Figured Out tour. So All Figured Out was out.
So it was done.
So it was done. We had ran the whole 3-4 month tour, And towards the end of the tour, we did a show in Chicago with Plush. The head of the label was there, and we put on a hell of a show. And he ended up coming up to us after the show saying he loved it and was impressed. And then one thing led to another, and we ended up putting pen to paper, deciding that we're going to team up on pushing this next record. And I think it was a great decision so far.
Yeah, it's been, I mean, and if they could give you half the rub they've gave Plush in the last couple of years. I mean, I had two of those ladies on, Bella and Ashley, like before the song even came out, I think. And then they've just done great in the last couple of years. So that's good. They love old bands. They love new bands. I love Pavement. They're great people. So that's good. You're hooked onto them. I mean, someone asked you on Facebook about the guys on the All Figured Out video, because the band, is it set? It's kind of evolving. What's going on with it?
So it's one of those things that I run the band. Obviously, it's through Cagle and the Reputation. So I write all the songs and I hire all the guys. There is not really specific ironclad members, just because I write the songs and the people that play live don't get to play on the record, because I get the drummer for Toto and the bass player for Elton John to play on the record, right? So the guys that come along for the ride, they normally come on a per tour or per show kind of basis. Depending on where you see us, you can see a different group of guys. It's always a fun thing to do, because there's a certain standard that there has to be done when my music gets played live. And so it's always fun to kind of teach people the way my show is, that maybe don't necessarily have experience playing shows of that type. So that's always kind of a fun thing for me. And, it keeps people working hard. If you want to make sure your spot is the best, and bands are very competitive things. We all want to be the best on the stage that night. And I want to keep those people around me. So as long as I keep those people around me that are hungry and want to still try to achieve something with this band, they stay with the band for a while. It's not like, I'm not going out of my way to fire guys or anything like that. But people tend to, want to go their separate ways and stuff like that. And I respect them, because, this is my project, and I can't always expect everyone to have the exact same vision as me.
Yeah. Well, and you opened for LA Guns. Did you meet Traci then? How did you get Traci on Bad Attitude?
Yeah. So back in, I think it was February was our first show of last year. Our first show with LA Guns. We did a run with them, and like I said, the album was done, and I was kind of wondering what I could do with this title track to kind of salvage it. And we did a couple shows with LA Guns. We kind of met them all briefly in passing and stuff like that. And then the last show of that run that we did with them, me and Traci got to talk a little bit and hit it off, and just started, just chatting a little bit. And then once he got off the road, and we were kind of sitting there in a time period where we didn't have any shows for a week or two, I hit him up and we started talking. I said, "Hey, let me send you this song, see if you'd like it." And he dug it and he loved it. And he just sent me back just a masterful guitar feature track, and just everything kind of went rolling from there.
Yeah. Thanks, Traci. Appreciate it.
Yeah. I appreciate it, man. Not too bad.
And who's JT Ibanez, who's directed the last couple of your videos?
He's the man. He's based out of St. Louis. He does all the big bands. He does like Creed, and he just did all the Tremonti videos. He does commercials for, like super nice luxury cars and stuff like that. And just everyone that has like those modern, edgy rock music videos, JT's done them. And he's just one of those guys that it's just fun to collaborate with creatively. He pushes me. We don't necessarily always agree on the same things, but it's those moments that create magic. And it's whenever someone else can come into the video or come into the project with me and feel comfortable enough to drive a creative vision alongside me. That's like I said, that's where the magic happens. So JT is the man, and I can't wait to do more videos with him.
What are you doing, Drew? How are you paying for all this? I mean, the album had to cost you a fortune. The videos are amazing. I mean, you're not sparing any expense.
Yeah, I mean, it was one of those things that I after Haunted got done, I sat down and I was like, well, how do I want to be remembered? How do I want this shot to be remembered? 20 years from now, if this is all said and done, I'm not a musician anymore. How do I want to look back on it? And I figured, you know what? I want to look back on it like I took the biggest shot I ever could possibly take. I didn't want to create 5 to 7 albums on a small budget and just kind of half-ass my way through it. I wanted to absolutely take the biggest swing on the fastball as much as I could. So I was like, I'm just going to go all in on this record and go all in on what I have available to me at this time and see what happens and see where it comes from it. And the reception has just been absolutely incredible. The album pre-sales that we got and the vinyl pre-sales have just been through the roof, unlike anything I've ever seen before for us or for most regional bands our level. So to see that sort of reception on that big of a gamble has just been, it's been unbelievable. Sometimes when you make records and stuff like that, you get worried that the fans aren't going to get it and they aren't going to quite understand the vision you're trying to get across. And this was just one of those records that from the first song, everyone got it and they understood what we were trying to do and they all jumped on board. So I just hope this ride keeps going. Hope it never stops.
Yeah. Well, and the album, it just gets better every track. I seem like too, when I listened to it, I was like, damn, this thing is solid. And it's amazing. I played it for one of my coworkers today and she was like, I like this. This is a great vibe. I'm digging this album. So I was like, yeah.
Oh, I appreciate you doing that. Yeah. It was one of those things. It was like when the producer from the Eagles says, send me a couple tracks for us to record, you don't send the bad ones, right? It was one of those that I had been writing songs for years since Haunted and even since before Haunted. And it was one of those things that I was like, well, I'm going to grab the absolute best that I have and send them to him and see what he thinks. And I think we put together a single or a record full of just multiple singles. I think any song on the record could hold its own and be a single. And the fact that we were able to put them all together and collectively tell the story that we told from start to finish with it is just, I don't know. It's honestly, I'm at a loss for words that we were able to accomplish it this way. And it was able to just get so many people excited about this.
It's a great album. Go out and listen to it. That's for sure. The She Said video, do you go to St. Louis? Does JT come to you? Where'd you shoot this thing?
Yeah, so we shot it at JT's studio. It was actually in the middle of a snowstorm. And so it was pretty cold. But we shot at a studio. We had this big LED wall. We had a couple different things that we wanted to do with it. It was, She Said's one of those songs that, it goes through so many different themes and feelings at the same time. So the main thing that me and JT wanted to hit when it came to actually creating this video and visualizing what this song looks like was, we were mainly focusing on we wanted to show the audience how a couple words can, warp someone's perception of reality. That was the thing we were trying to do. And we said, how can we do that? And JT had this awesome idea to do this kind of like desert wasteland, dreamland kind of thing. And that was one of his scenes that we did. And then we did the LED wall with the storms. And my guitarist got to have his like Slash November Rain moment playing the solo with, in the storm and stuff. And then we had one other scene where it was kind of me in a more introspective role, like I am in the verses of the song, where I'm holding my hat and looking back over some parts of my life and kind of dealing with some regrets and stuff. So we kind of encapsulated all those, put them all together and tried to get something that was, we wanted to kind of feel a little bit weird, but we wanted it to feel like it fit. And I think we were able to do that.
Yeah, no, it's a great video. Go and check it out. She Said it's out now. Is wine talking a real story?
It depends. They're all real stories, in a way. Did I fall in love with a girl because she fed me wine? No, not necessarily. But have just a night with someone, sharing a drink or something, let some of those walls come down that are surrounded on your heart? Yeah, that happens sometimes. So, and I think that happens for a lot of people. And I think that's where the real power of that song is it's one of those relatable things that it's truly just about someone afraid to be vulnerable and someone being able to break through that wall and stuff like that. So that's mainly what it's about. It's not as much about the alcohol content of the body.
Well, there you go. Well, what's next? We have more touring, another single. What? I mean, She Said just came out.
Yeah, so She Said just came out, and then obviously we're gonna do a respectful push for Bad Attitude featuring Traci Guns, and so that'll probably be over the next couple months, and you can probably expect at least one more major single in the summer.
Nice. Well, keep your eyes on him. Drew Cagle and The Reputation. Go check him out, drewcagle.com. Bad Attitude is the album. It is kick ass. I highly recommend go and listen to it. And here is She Said. Drew, thanks so much for coming on.
Thanks for having me, man.
It's Drew Cagle.